Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. This is y&ymission. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. y&ymission is affiliate camp of GMS. Just want to go into the fact. Front page news, Zero Hedge. Real ID is not about keeping you safe. Okay, so Esau's starting to see this. Okay, and through the spirit power of Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah, I was able to, put this out, a month in advance. I said this in my most recent videos. Okay, so check them out. All right, today, after nearly 2 decades, implementation and delays, the federal government's new identification requirements for traveling by plane domestically or entering federal buildings technically go into effect. Okay, the federally compliant ID card, known as Real ID, can only be attained with specific records and documents laid out by the federal government. It's labeled by black or gold star. Okay, so even though DHS Secretary Karras promised that at least initially people without Real ID will only will have to face some extra scrutiny at security checkpoints, it's safe to assume that as the full requirements sets in over the next several weeks and months, some number of people will show up to the airports unaware that they no longer have the documents required to board their plane. And that's what I said basically in my videos and stuff. People are gonna, over the next few weeks and stuff, are gonna start realizing that they don't have the necessary documents to board planes and whatnot, and that's going to start limiting. They're going to start clamping down even harder as from today to 7th. As time goes on, they're going to start clapping down harder and harder on this rule. Okay, this law that went into effect. Okay, so because of the absoluteness of the new requirement and the harsh punishments for non-compliance, just picture what would happen to you if you tried to get into a federal building or onto a plane without the accepted forms of ID. See, Esau, now he's seeing it can be easy to write off the Real ID requirements as some new rule that, while annoying, is probably being implemented for a good reason. It's not. See, so as mentioned above, the Real ID Act was passed 20 years ago in 2005. See. And it was one of the main measures rollout in the wake of 9/11. Yeah, they've been riding that 9/11 wave for a minute. All right, with a lot of laws and stuff. All right, so you see, this devil is he's in the midst. All right. Okay, the Department of Homeland Security to delay the deadline several times. Okay, so this has been delayed several times. If these new ID requirements were as critical to safety of air travelers and the American public at large as federal government has claimed, the sheer time it's taken to implement would be unacceptable. Right. That alone is a sign that perhaps the federal government's motivations are not what they say. They're not, because this is going to lead into what? The Motb. The Real ID is going to segue into the Motb. How? Because right now, they're going to put you in a trick bag with questioning your birthright citizenship for non-white or Edomite citizens. That's to you tribes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They're going to be able to get the northern tribers, okay, the Hispanic tribes out of here with this policy. They're going to trap you and question your birthright citizenship with the southern tribe. That's you blacks, you Jamaicans, you Haitian, so-called black Americans, you Negroes, okay? And they're going to be basically saying, no, you're not citizens, all right? So that's how they're going to get you. And then they're going to get you with these job layoffs, okay? Because you need, ultimately food, all right? And you won't be able to pay your bills, okay? Then they're going to come down with, what's the other way? The job, okay? They coming down with the ID, and then with these tariffs, okay, with the food, okay, the tariffs with the food and everything. That's going to make everything go, because they want to ultimately get you on that universal basic income and trap you so you can submit, okay, and get that Motb. All right, that's what they're trying to get you at all angles. All right. Men of the Lord, servants of the Lord, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone all the way down, have been saying that for a minute, all right? So one hijacker was flagged at a checkpoint because he did not have a photo ID. Two other hijackers were similarly flagged by a joint FBI and FAA pre-screening. And they talking about the hijackers on 9/11, okay, with the ID thing, all right? So the truth is that the real ID is just the latest chapter in the federal government's 20-plus years of using 9/11 as an excuse to protect and expand its power, right? And they bring that no, because what? Esau's coming down with great wrath. He's trying to hold on to what? His power, okay? You got Trump in there in the office right now acting crazy. Okay, people are starting to say that it's something that's possessing him to do this stuff. It's not like his first presidency. No, we know through the power and spirit that is Yahweh that has hardened his heart, okay? Has hardened Pharaoh's heart. Hasn't he proclaimed that now that the Pope has died, he's basically the king of the world? I put that up on one of my shorts. Go check it out. Okay? So this information and stuff is out there. The men of the Lord, servants of the Lord, are putting this out there constantly 24/7, but it is falling on deaf ears, and people are not picking up on it, not spreading it, or not hearing it, or just don't care. Okay? So it's not going to be an excuse. That's why I did the video a couple of days ago. It's going to be no excuses for nobody, because the warnings have went out via the internet and via which is the information superhighway, and via the highways and byways, the men of the Lord being on the highways and byways. Okay, so they talk about, some 9/11 stuff. Okay, instead, American politicians and bureaucrats decided to act as though the American public security could best be attained if they first gave themselves significantly more power, and then used it to try and pacify the entire Middle East with the very same methods that had just convinced 19 young men to fly planes into American buildings. Salakia. Okay, and as the neoconservatives and establishment warhawks have helped boost the popularity of Bin Laden, thought with over 2 decades of relentless wars, incursions, covert operations, and air campaigns, American officials also seized the opportunity to expand their power here and at home. Yeah, they were all in Afghanistan for like 20 years, fucking off. Okay, and you see how Biden just poured out of there and left a whole bunch of equipment for them people. You ain't hear nothing since. Since the U.S. has left, that country has been quiet because it was a scapegoat to bring in all these other draconian laws. Okay, that's what he's saying. All right. The federal government, of course, nationalized airport security, even though the private contractors handling it before were already tasked specifically with enforcing FAA rules. Right. Before 9/11, they didn't need to do that. They were already following the rules, but the feds got TSA involved, and the 9/11 hijackers had not packed anything that the FAA prevented them from taking on the plane. Right. The attack was because at one time they were saying that you had to put your toothbrush and remember that you had to separate your toothbrush, put it in a Ziploc bag, and your toothpaste had to be in all types of weirdo wild shit. All right, the attack was not an airport screening fail. Yeah, it was screened, but now it's all handled by a group that will continue to operate in every commercial airport in the country, regardless of how abyssinium it is at detecting banned items. Right. So, yeah, it's a facade, all right? It's all bullshit. Real ID is the next major development in that effort, okay? Right. Okay, while the federal requirements as of now are limited to the specific documents and mandatory facial image capture. See, they want your facial imaging needed to attain a state ID. The law leaves the government plenty of room to expand those requirements to include biometric identifiers and federal databases like retinal scans, fingerprints, or DNA. See, they want everything. This is part of it. This is what the Motb is going to do, but they trying to get ahead of it now They trying to get ahead of it now, and so they can already have you in the system. And that's what the real idea is, to start putting everybody in the system. And they're going to do it with travel because they know you thoughts. They know you 2/3. What has everybody online been talking about for the last 2 years? Flying bitches out. Flying this one out. Flying out to see this guy. Flying out to see this bitch. Flying this bitch out to see and kicking her out the car. Okay, you 2/3. You so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. Okay, that's the new thing. That's the trend. Flying motherfuckers out. And Esau and the other nations, the heathen nations, been doing it. Okay, they've been flying around. Okay, that Dubai shit. Okay, with them women going over there for a check and all that. See, they gonna get all you 2/3 and you heathens. In other words, while the issues with the initial Real ID rollout will mostly be limited to a few occasional long waits at the DMV or airport, the bill lays the groundwork there for the federal government to force, look, anyone who wants a state ID to forfeit biometric identifier or facial recognition data. Right, you got to get this up to federal databases that will constitute the kind of the detailed de facto national ID system that the biggest tyrants of history could have only dreamed of wielding. Right. See, because they bringing out the Motb. That's what Elon Musk, now he out of Doge, he backing out of that. He getting ready, to activate this system, to help activate this Motb system. All right. That may seem a bit far-fetched, but it's naive to think that in the aftermath of another terrorist attack, the politicians and bureaucrats who are always searching for any excuse to expand their power would not use some new powers that they already gave themselves. Right. If we allow that day to come, we yearn for the days when our big problems consisted of long airport lines. And it's going to basically consist of more than that. Look, they about to lock this place down, okay? And what are Americans known for? What is Esau basically known for? The flying. And what do everybody love? These heathens, these other nations love about Esau. They love this nigga's healthcare system, his witchcraft, which is part of his healthcare system, and they love the ability to fly and drive. Eve, okay, these women want to be able to go do their evil, okay, if they have husbands and different things like that, go act a fool. See, he gonna put you, it's a trick bag. He taking all that away. Your ability to fly, your healthcare privacy, okay, and your ability to travel from city to city, okay? I brung those scriptures out the other day. He putting you in a trick bag, and he go gather all your data, and when they activate that Motb, they go round you up. Okay, that's what they gonna be able to do. My license don't expire. My regular license that I have right now, state non-compliant Real ID license, does not expire to 2030. So Yahweh looking out for me. Yeah, the Most High looking out for me. Just imagine the people that don't care about driving, that don't care about flying. They gonna, and then their shit is about to expire in these next couple of weeks or days or months. Guess what they gonna have to do? Set an appointment. Yeah, so these people gonna have to set an appointment, okay, and then they gonna be asked out when they finally get to the appointment, and they gonna put you in a trick bag. They gonna be like, either you're not a birthright citizen for you tribes, or they gonna be like you're non-compliant, or all types of wild stuff, or they gonna just ship you out, send you right to ICE. Okay, if you northern tribe, you try to come in there, get your license, renew your shit, they go ship you to ICE, and then you will be shipped out the country. All right, so Most High is not playing. I ain't gotta do nothing but do the work of the Lord. I ain't got nowhere to be. I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm good, and hopefully praying that the men of the Lord, the true men of the Lord, the true servants of the Lord that do carry a license, okay, there's Most High has, put some years on their expiration date, put their stuff all really out there. Okay, so yeah, this is a clampdown measure. This is a strong arm technique that Esau is using. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring out some scriptures. Okay, Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, all right. And that's what's going on. You got wickedness in higher places, and it's in the White House, and it's been in the White House, okay, in this country ever since this country's conception. But it's at its peak right now. Now that Nero is in there, okay? The Roman Emperor Nero is back, all right? DJT is Nero, all right? Reincarnated in the spirit, all right? Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Right. And the Israelites are not in authority yet. But once they will be in authority, once Yahushua comes, okay, everybody will rejoice. They'll be happy. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And the people are mourning right now, okay? They've been mourning, but it's getting worse now. You see all the people crying online, especially these women? Okay, it's unbelievable. Now the new thing is the race war. All right, that's about to pop off because of that father, that son got murdered, and he ran over a sheriff deputy. All right, so all this stuff, people are mourning. All right, it's crazy. It's getting wild. Okay, Ezekiel 22:27. Her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves ravening the prey, to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. Okay, so right, these governors, these different congressmen and councilmen on these different states, senators, different representative party, Democrat and party, Republican Party associates. Okay, all they want is dishonest game, and they're destroying souls. Okay, not only their own, but the people of this country, okay? No matter what tribe they're from, okay? They don't care, okay? So they're shedding blood, and I read you in an article, they had to shed blood, literally. They had to set those guys up, if they was really in there, kill all those people, you know what I'm saying? So they can get dishonest gain, okay? And bring out decreeing crazy laws, all right? Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteousness decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Right. And that's the hills have eyes. Who are the hills have eyes? Not the movie, not the crazy horror flick. I'm talking about Capitol Hill. Okay. But we know what? That Yahweh's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Okay. So, and he gave the men of the Lord, servants of the Lord, starting with the apostles, the elders, great millstone, all the way down, the ability to see through Esau's bullshit and to bring you what? The 100% truth, 144% truth, all right, in these times, especially in these times, okay? But the 2/3 and the heathens aren't going to listen. They're destined to be destroyed. This message is for the remnant, okay? So you will know what to look for, and you'll know how things are coming, okay? So the best thing I can say is, hopefully, if you're in the truth, your ID, if you need to drive or whatever, and you need your license to do certain things, hopefully it doesn't expire before Yahushua gets here, so you won't be forced to go into these federal buildings and deal with this man. So try to stay away from this man as much as possible. Right now, stay out of his federal buildings, stay out of his courtrooms. I did the lesson about the gangs and stuff, how they try to open up Alcatraz and lock people up and whatnot. This is the best time right now, is to get close to the Heavenly Father, okay? Take instruction from men of the Lord, servants of the Lord that are bringing out the truth. Keep your eyes peeled. If you trying to come around the best way you can and understand this doctrine, if Lord willing, and not stay away from this man. All right, stay out of his facilities. Stay out of his his institutions. Okay, whether they be for higher learning, quote unquote. You see what's going on with Trump is writing executive orders on these colleges. Okay, these prestigious colleges now. Okay, so taking away funding and all types of stuff. So man, the best thing to do is just stay away from this man Esau. Stay away from this white man. Stay out of his institutions, whether it be prison, whether it be higher learning, academic, whether it be anything. Don't even go in his museums. Just stay out of it, because this stuff, that's federal grounds. Okay, like I said, these airports, these museums, certain museums, okay, certain facilities, and you just putting you in a trick bag right now. So I just wanted to bring that out right now. Things are getting worse, all right? And this devil is coming down. I told you, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, the real ID is going to lead and segue and bleed into the Motb ultimately. All right. So with that, I'd like to say all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem Rakak Radash. Shalom.